Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. I have Alan Garceau here from Federal Fleet Services, and he's going to be doing most of the presentation. I just wanted to go over a couple housekeeping items before we get started. Like all the other webinars in the past, this one will be recorded as well, and I will make it available for everybody after we're done here today. I'll send everyone that's registered a follow-up email with the link to the webinar. Secondly, if you have any questions, we will get, I think we have about 10 minutes at the end to address anything that you have. So please ask during the presentation, and I'll make sure Al and myself get to those at the end. Other than that, I'm going to switch the screen over to Al so he can do his presentation. And I'm just going to quickly introduce him. Al, are you ready? I don't want to switch the screen.
Yeah, whatever you want, yep.
Okay, just 1 second. My Federal Fleet page just dropped down on me, so.
You want?
I said
I did not put show my screen yet, though.
Okay. You can show your screen anytime you want now, Al. So for you, those of you who are not familiar with Alan, he is the VP of Engineering at Federal Fleet Services, following almost 42 years in the Royal Canadian Navy, 18 of those at sea as an engineer. Upon completion of the Canadian Forces Command and Staff College, he was appointed to the Directorate of Science and Technology Maritime at Defence Research and Development Canada in Ottawa. Following graduation from the Master of Business Administration program at the University of Ottawa, he assumed a 3-year appointment at the Directorate of Maritime Personnel of the Chief of Maritime Staff, and he was then selected as the Director of Military Careers for the RCN until promoted to the rank of Captain, Navy. On completion of his appointment as the Canadian Forces Naval and Joint Attaché at CDLS, Washington, he accepted the appointment of Director of Maritime Personnel, followed by appointments as Director of Naval Succession Planning and Chief of Staff to the Naval Strategic Readiness Division. So without any further ado, Alain, the floor is all yours whenever you want to share, and go ahead.
Thank you very much, Haley. Good afternoon, everyone. I will be speaking a bit slowly because I have an echo in my ear, but it should be all right. I hope that you can all hear me satisfactorily. Okay, so I'm just trying to minimize something here. Okay, so thank you for the opportunity, first of all, for me to present you a very interesting topic, something that brought me out of retirement, which is the conversion of a container ship into a much needed AOR, which I will describe to you very shortly. You see in front of you now the topics that we will be discussing today, and I will explain the relationship between Chantier DV Canada Incorporated, a shipyard located in Lévis, Quebec, and our relationship with my company, Federal Fleet Services Incorporated. I will talk to you about Project Resolve, which is, of course, the ship itself, now motor vessel Asterix. I will give you some program highlights. I will talk to you about our Tier 1 partners, how important it is for Canada, and we'll speak about the conversion program requirements and objectives, and finally I will talk about the actual conversion of the ship. You have in front of you, for those of you who are not familiar, with a picture of one of the oldest and largest shipyard in Canada, in North America. It's a Chantier DV located on the south shore of Quebec City. The island that you see over there, for those of you who know the area a bit, is Ile d'Orléans. And you will see, I think if you see my pointer in here, you will see the huge dry dock. This is the largest dry dock in Canada as well, and this is where MV Asterix is currently located. About a year and a half ago, all the berth, all the dry docks, because we have two, it was all occupied. so that's the yard was extremely busy. You see in the top left corner, this is the MV Asterix when she arrived. So I call her the old MV Asterix. You will see pictures of her now that has changed a lot. And then you can see various vessels, from Coast Guard vessels to Service Traversier du Québec, so they're vessels for the government of Quebec, and you see them all. You see in the Champlain dock right here where there are three ships, the Henry Larson, the 723, that's the ferry for the STQ, and an OSV new build, the 718. CDCI key specifications is a fairly large shipyard, like I showed you, 570,000 square meters. It has two dry dock, one of which is 360 meter long, and the Lorne dry dock, as we call it, 180 meters, which is a it's a 190-year-old dry dock and still in service today. There are 5 construction berths, and you can put vessel for up to 900 meters in the case, or the jetties, if you will. And we have over 53,000 square meters of workshops. Steel production, which is second to none in Canada and North America. They can produce 300 tons per week, and I have witnessed this, and you will see where in a minute. And currently we have about 1,300 employees, but it can go up to 4,000 as need be. And ships delivered since their inception, over 700 ships have been delivered to federal, provincial, and commercial values. Chantier DV, it's no secret, went through a bankruptcy. When she came out of bankruptcy in 2014, she went from there to being awarded the a winner for the best shipyard in North America in 2015. So you see the pictures there. The biggest one is a Seacon, a multi-role vessel, extremely complicated. Look at the big cranes on her, the helipad, navigation, and she is in service around the world today. I want to speak now, if I may, on the enterprise resource management. Over the past few years, Navy has acquired and installed a single enterprise resource management system by Aviva, which integrates everything from ship design to component procurement to construction planning and delivery. Certainly, Navy is on par with the best shipyards in the world in terms of highly pre-outfitted modular construction techniques, and I will show you some of that very shortly. When ship blocks are assembled, they are already outfitted with most of the equipment prior to being joined to other blocks on the slipway. And I will show you how many we have done so far for the conversion of MV Asterix. This, of course, results in reducing building time by allowing for production of multiple work fronts and improves vessel quality. Navy has successfully implemented an environmental management system based on ISO 14001 for 2015, thereby promoting environmental stewardships at all levels. Navy is the first shipyard in North America to achieve this rigid and world-leading technological standard. And the certification is developed along 3 main lines. First, compliance with environmental laws, continuous improvement, and pollution prevention. Implementing proactive environmental measures improve production efficiencies and results in the preservation of the environment from harm and degradation. Through this certification, Navy Shipbuilding has reaffirmed its commitment to government agencies, ship owners, and commercial stakeholders that green technology is part of all aspects of its business. This is just a slide I just talked to you about. Now, what is Project Resolve? It's timely to explain to you, for those who have done a bit of research and have been a little bit confused. When the company was created on the 1st of August 2015, it was actually called Project Resolve Incorporated. And we were a company created for owning and managing the conversion of a container ship into an AOR. And we have since changed our name to Federal Fleet Services Incorporated, and it is more encompassing. But Project Resolve remain in the event that we build more AORs for Canada or for anybody other nations that may need it. So the Project Resolve itself is a conversion of a 1,704, to be exact, TEUs, which are 20-foot equivalent units. That's a container. Container ships into an auxiliary oiler replenishment, AOR, which is a NATO term. And we have a 5-year provision of service contract, but we have also Canada has the option for 5 one-year extensions. So for a total of 10 years of services available to the Canadian Armed Forces. Important to know for those of you who are not in the military background that in Canada we only have one Canadian Armed Forces, and then the other 3 elements, the Navy, Army, and Air Force, are actually elements of the Canadian Armed Forces. So the contract is with the Canadian Armed Forces, not specifically with the Royal Canadian Navy per se. I showed you on the chart, the picture previously of the old MV Asterix. This is the way she looked like when she arrived in Lévis in October 2015. And you will see 2 pictures now, but I want to explain that the housing, as you see it there aft, the 7 decks, is gone. We removed that, dismantled that completely, because the new house, you will see later, will be located way more forward than that one, because where the house is currently located, where you see it, this is where the flight deck will be installed. And forward of the flight deck would then be the hangars, 2 of them, and then forward of that is the new superstructure housing with all the cabins. This is the way she look like now as of last week. I did that picture, I took a picture on purpose just to show that behind her, the house that you see is not actually Asterix. The wheelhouse that you see is actually the Louis Saint Laurent, who has just arrived on the 14th of February in Chantilly for a refit. This is the way she really looks like. So when we first took her in, we removed the old superstructure, the old cabin, the old wheelhouse, and we took the inside out of the container. She looked like an empty canoe. And you will see shortly how we have refilled her, and we are continuing refilling her. For those of you who are not knowledgeable of what MV Asterix, what Asterix is, let me show you a bit of a cartoon in here. On the left side is Asterix, a very popular Belgian comic series. I grew up reading all those books, fairly interesting. And the reason why I'm showing you Asterix, the short guy, Obelix, the big guy, and the little dog, Idefix, is because there are ships, sister ships of MV Asterix that are called Idefix and Obelix. The program highlights. So there's no payment from Canada until the ship delivery in September 2017. So when we first started that work, there's no risk to Canada. This is the first time we're doing that. All warships constructions have been done, constructions start from you. What we have done in this case, Canada has agreed to a proposal, and we have bought a ship. We're converting a ship, and then in September 2017 we will lease it to the Canadian Armed Forces, and this is where they will pay us at that time. The ship conversion, of course, is in Canada entirely. Well, almost entirely. You will see shortly why. And at the Canadians' largest shipbuilder. The design provides all the capabilities of Canada Legacy AOR class. When I first arrived with the team on the 1st of August 2015, my first job was to make sure that all the compartments that were included in the HMCS Protector and Preserver, the Legacy AOR class, we had the same or better. And we have better in all areas. Marine deck and engine and hotel management services will be provided by Federal Fleet Services to the Canadian Armed Forces. So what that means is that civilian crew will do it. Canada has never done that. A ship that will work with the Canadian Armed Forces, that will be driven and maintained by civilians, except for replenishment at sea, which will be done by Canadian Armed Forces mission specialists. And I will explain that to you shortly. Okay, for some reason I just got okay. So partners, tier 1 suppliers. I just make sure I had the right one there, yeah? Yeah, okay. These are the Canadians' main suppliers working with us. We're very proud of that, of course. So like I mentioned, so Federal Fleet Services bought the ship, and we contracted Chantier DV Canada Incorporated, our sister company, to do the conversion. Navtech is a company, engineering, a Navac company from Quebec, who has the conceptual design, did a fantastic job. Rolls-Royce Canada from Richmond, BC, have been hired to do the engineering, and we have Hepburn Engineering, which will be doing the replenishment at sea. This is quite a specialty, and there are companies in Toronto, and they had the replenishment at sea equipment for the protector, preserver, and provider, an old AOR that the Royal Canadian Navy used to have, and they have also done the RAS systems for other nations as well. OSI Marine System is from Vancouver, British Columbia, and she's doing the integrated bridge system, and I will explain to you very shortly. We have L3 comms and L3 maps. I will explain that shortly as well. And of course, we have our partner OMX for a series of the first thing that they did with us is actually help us to do a survey. And it's important to mention that we have never done that before. We, meaning the Royal Canadian Navy, Canadian Armed Forces, so that anybody in Canada, where we actually went to retired and serving sailors, anybody who had served on the AOR before, what they like, what they did not like, what would they do on a ship if they had the opportunity to design one. And we did that through OMX, and that was absolutely fantastic. Most of the decent recommendations were actually implemented for the design of MV Asterix. And there's other, of course, aspect of OMX, but Ellie can explain that to you much better than I can. Okay, now I have just a quick picture of you just to show you that we do some work. This is the bridge, and this is done, actually, the superstructure is done in Finland, and there's a reason for it. Because first time in Canada where we're doing a very fast-track project. We signed a contract with Canada on the 30th of November 2015, and we had to deliver the ship on the 15th of September 2017 to Canada. So there is not enough capacity. As you know, Irving is very busy with their contract, the $6 billion contract, and so is C-SPAN on the West Coast. And also, so there was, and we found that Almaco, the company in there who's specialized in cabins, were outstanding partner. And also something else that we have to do at the same time that's never been done before. Usually when you build a ship, you do all the detail engineering, and once you're happy with the detail engineering, you start construction. We don't have that luxury of time. So we do detail engineering and construction at the same time. So you need to really, really coordinate the activities of the detail engineering. So you have to decide which detail engineering you're going to do next, because this is the one that the construction will be needed. And you will see that shortly with the block diagrams that I will show you. Okay. Stay there. Okay. So I just explained all that to you when we signed the contract, and you can see the profile of the Canadian company. So Chantier DV is Levy, Quebec. Okay, I already talked about that. So this, she is our prime contractor. Navtech was one of Canada's leading naval architecture firm in Quebec City, and which was the original conceptual ship design. OSI System was the Canada's only integrated bridge system manufacturer in Vancouver, British Columbia. She will be doing, Asterix will have, which is not common, an integrated navigation and bridge system, a state-of-the-art bridge navigation system. Hepburn Engineering from Toronto is the industry-leading replenishment at sea manufacturers. L3 Technology, leading provider of control solutions and communications. And she'll be doing the integrated platform management system, so that's a control system for the engines and auxiliaries and the tanks and levels and all that good kind of stuff. And L3 is also doing communication. Race Rock is in contract with Federal Fleet Services Incorporated. They're located in Victoria, British Columbia, and Race Rock is doing e-learning and simulation system for us. So they will conduct all the training requirement, which will be done online and in classroom and on the ship as well. Almaco, as we discussed, a world-leading accommodation outfitters from Turku, Finland, and they're doing accommodation module providers. And finally, Rolls-Royce, Richmond, BC. I explained to you that it's Richmond, BC. However, there's not enough engineers in Canada at that time to help us out, so we're using a Rolls-Royce subsidiary in Rijeka, Croatia, to help us out. And these gals and guys do a complete engineering design from P&ID to detail to fabrication. This is another first here in Canada, and we're very pleased with the services that they are doing for us. This is the second deck cabin hallways of the superstructure that is built in Finland. That's 95% complete. So the program requirements. The key specification requirements is that the ship has to be Canadian flag. We have done that. Conformance with Transport Canada and international regulations, we are obviously doing that. It must be a similar size and displacement of the Protector class vessels, which we are. The ship is less than 5 years old. And we have redundancy for propulsions, meaning we have the one shaft line main engine B&M engine. And we have a drop-down thruster, only one, and that's located mostly forward of the ship. It's drop-down, meaning from the hull down, and then of course we have the bow thrusters as well. We have a service speed of minimum of 20 knots. Delivery had to be done in 21 months from contract. We are building the ship in Lloyd's Register, and we will provide full service provision, including crewing and technical management, as I have mentioned, engineering support, training, etc. She will be managed under Canadian flag rules in Canada and, very importantly, Canadian crew. Costing must be in line with the AOR operations and management budget, and it's based on commercial leasing principles. Suppliers, we have a very significant Canadian supply base, and we continue to do so. Guiding principles, we must replace the capability of the legacy AOR class in a fast manner. So you will recall, for those of you, is the JSS that you often hear, due 2021, I suppose. And so we knew there would be a gap. We, meaning the Royal Canadian Navy, Canadian Forces, knew there would be a small gap after the Protector and Preserver had to be paid off. However, you will recall in 2014 the Protector caught fire, a huge fire, on our way from Hawaii back to our home base in Esquimalt, British Columbia. The ship became obviously unserviceable. Meanwhile, when it's a bad day for you, within a few weeks of that or a month of that, HMCS Preserver, who was the AOR on the East Coast in Halifax, was no longer fit for sea. She was nearly 50 years old. So there was a long gap. This is where MV Asterix came about. Oh yeah. This is a picture of the main cafeteria as of a week and a half ago. There will be up to 150 people on board that ship, so the cafeteria has a seating for 75. Believe me, that's more than sufficient. Of all my times at sea, we never had such a 2-to-1 turnover in the main cafeteria. Everybody, from officers to the youngest or the new seamen, would eat in the same cafeteria. So why do we use a container ship, and why are we doing a conversion? Well, we needed fast delivery of the vessel. We had to close that gap that the RCN was facing at the earliest opportunity. It is cost effective, a fraction of the cost of a new AOR. It's cheaper to convert a ship than to build a brand new one. CDCI has past experience converting container ships. Container ships are fast versus tankers. Therefore, we need to be fast as an AOR. I would assume at this time that you all know what an auxiliary oil replenishment vessel does. So mainly a ship that in station, she can have a warship on the starboard side, a warship on the port side, tied in through a stream RAS system, and you can transfer F-76, which is diesel oil, aviation fuel, fresh water, solids, ammunition, and so forth. Anyway, so a large payload capacity, that weight, and you need it for RASing. And she has significant stability characteristics. We don't want a big pig, a ship that just rolls too slowly, because that would make it difficult to do RAS. She has strengthened on the decks, allow for fast and safe installation of prefabricated fuel tanks. I will show you that. Container ships are designed for 365 days use in all weather conditions. And the vessel is already classed by Lloyd's Register, previously DNVGL, but we are working with Lloyd's Register, and we're almost done anyway. And she, of course, she is double hulled. So your design highlight, I don't know if you guys see this, I'm going to take that out here. There you go. Okay. So she'll be available 18 months from contract. Yeah, 21 knots cruising speed. Her dimension is 182 meters long, 25 meter wide, and she has a scantling draft of 9.5 meters. I already explained the propulsion, conventional plus drop-down thruster, plus the bow, but the bow is not really propulsion. Accommodation, 150 people. You see on the picture on the right where they will be located, that's all cabins. And plus we have capability for large humanitarian relief dormitories inside on the starboard side of the hospital. The flight deck that you see there is so one helideck and two hangars. She's designed for Cyclone helicopters. That's the RCN's Royal Canadian Air Force, the next helicopter to go to sea. But she's good for a Chinook size helicopter as well. She's designed for strength up to a Chinook size. She has a full replenishment at sea liquid mass. You can see that to forward, to aft, for port side and starboard side. Forward one is solid only, and the fuel and solid is on the after post. We have over 7,000 tons of marine diesel F-76, that's a NATO parlance, for delivery to other vessels. Nearly 1,000 tons of GP5 aviation fuel. And we have about 500 tons of fresh water. I don't think that shows that in here for some reason. We have containers. Now look way forward, forward of the RAS post. So in here, okay, in here you will have 20 cargo TEUs, containers, that will fit from the top all the way down. Okay, and these will be accessible at sea. And we have 18 TEUs forward of that, for ammunition, and these are for the ammunition. They have to be weather temperature control, air conditioned. Two big cranes right here, good for 30 tons. We have room in here fitted for but not with command operation center, and we have a hospital with two wards of 3 beds each. We have operation room with an operation room and a bed. And we have full dental capabilities, X-rays, and so forth. And the only compartment that's not at least 2.2 meters is this compartment here. And this is for the UPS, and this is what you see there on uninterrupted power supplies for communications and main propulsion system. Basically, this is how we as you recall, we carved the ship like a canoe, and this is how we are rebuilding her. So you see the item number 1 is the flight deck, and then the exhaust stack and casing, which is built with the superstructure, the helicopter deck supporting blocks, the mast, number 4, right here, the accommodation block, and the accommodation block has 92 single cabins, 10 double cabins, 2 4-person cabins and 5 6-person cabins. And first, for the Royal Canadian Navy, every cabin have its own heads and wash place, meaning its own toilet and shower. All my years at sea, we never had that. We all shared. So this is an innovation. Crane pedestal and crane installation, we talk about those in RAST. And RAST control room, so which would be that little red block right here, right below number 7. So that's a replacement at sea control tower. And this is where you're going to control all the hoses that you see here that goes connected to the ships. The container storage and ammunition magazines, where we talk about those, this is where they're going to be. See that there? See, these are the container 20 of them, and 18 ammunition. This is where they are here. And in between, this is the where you have access to them, and we have elevators to go up and down. And then, of course, we have the decks and the void space. And we talk about the bow thruster, number 13. It's actually now more located. It's located more here now rather than here. So we moved it. It was much easier and much more efficient the way she was there. Important to note that the rising takes place on the main deck. Okay, and below that we have what we call the twin deck. This is where the hospitals, and we have some cabins in there as well. And we have a big cargo area in here, just by number 10. And below that we have below the twin deck, and then we have the fuel tanks. So we're not sitting on top of the fuel tanks. Okay, and there's a void space, I'm sorry. So there are 2 full decks and a void space. Okay, this is the 3D unit overview. This is how we have reassembled the ship. What you see in color 35 means it's all been erected. In green, it means number 30. There are 35 of them. 8 of them in blue are in the plate shops being fabricated. 2 are in the panel line, and we have 45 in progress. That leaves 4, which are these things in here that we're going to finish last. What we wanted to do, because Chantier DV Canada Incorporated is in Lévis, Quebec, and believe me, it's cold there. And what we wanted to do for the workers is to, by Christmas time, we wanted that cover. See that green line here I'm showing you on the main deck? We wanted that cover so that the workers can then work on everything below that, piping, electrical, pull cables, that kind of stuff, and we have succeeded in doing that. So we are progressing well. We should have all the blocks in place by the end of March 2017, with the exception of the RAS, poles, and all that kind of stuff that would come in after the superstructure arrives. Just want to show you from there. There you go. This is where the containers will be. Summary of the responsibilities, if I may. So the builder is Chantier DV Canada Incorporated. They're responsible to by the acquisition of the vessel. That was not true anymore. I'm sorry. Federal Fleet Services did that. Detailed ship specification, design, engineering, production, construction, conversion, machinery, because we had to build a brand new machinery system, because of course we went from a ship that had a crew of 20 to a crew of 150 to do RAS, communication, HEDO operations, dental, and medical. So we needed more generators. We added generating power, and of course we needed more fuel. And we converted the ship from HFO, which is a very solid fuel that needed to be heated for the main engine, and we converted it to the same fuel that will be replenished with other vessels, so F-76, the MDO. And to do that, so the HFO you have to heat, the MDO you have to cool. So we're cooling the F-76 for the engines. So we did that as well. So the builder, back to the slide here, they're responsible for all certification, tests, and trials. We, the owner, we were responsible for the concept design, the online ship specification, general arrangement, that's the GA, and the owner specified equipment and supplies. We did all that. More importantly for our company then would be post-delivery. We're going to manage the program, manage the contract, do the accounting, the invoicing, the marine operations management, the deck and the engine management, the hotel management, maintenance. We're going to do the crewing. We do the hiring for the crewing. So there will be 36 civilian crew and up to 114 Canadian Armed Forces mission specialist people, and 2 crews of each for the civilian crew. So we're hiring 72 people active, 2 months out, 2 months on, 2 months off. That's the operations, and the hotel, and the maintenance, and the engineering. And we're responsible for the supply chain. So Canada, the end user, we call it Canada, but the Canadian Armed Forces. Okay, so they gave us a statement of work, the SAO, the capability definition. And then, of course, they're the one who will tell us what the voyage instructions will be. Many civilian, like a container ship, goes from point A to point B, and that's it. That's their voyage. And that's for us. We go into a block somewhere, a block meaning a square in the ocean. We have to stay in there, and this is where the Canadian frigates, warships, and allies warships come to us to be replenished with fuel, fresh water, food, spare parts, and whatever. Okay, so they will be responsible, Canada will be responsible to direct to us where they want us to be, by when, so we do that. And we have to be available 365 days a year, except for the maintenance requirement. And they're going to be responsible for all helicopter operations, medical operations, and their communication as well. Just a picture to show you, what I want to show you. That's the top of the hangar, and it shows you the sprinkler system, foam system as well. Operation management, so you see we have I broke that slide into 3 columns, the item, what FFS is responsible for, and what the Royal Canadian Navy or Canadian Armed Forces is responsible for. So as mentioned, we do the deck and the engine crew. Crew management, travel training. We have to purchase all spares, operational and commissioning spares. Marine maintenance, we do all that. Flagging and certification, ISM, safety management system. And we have to do all the codes, including the International Ship and Port Facility Security Codes. And we have to make sure they maintain the standard training for certification of watchkeepers. And we do catering and victualling, all of it. The Canadian Armed Forces is responsible for replenishment at sea. They do that with 114 people. Operation and maintenance of the weapon system. Weapon systems, because they have some in the ammunition TEUs, which if need to be maintained or preserved or care and custody, they have to take care of that. But the ship will also have small arms for the Canadian Armed Forces system, Canadian Armed Forces mission specialists themselves for wherever we go, and they will be responsible for that. And the ship will also have positioning for 6. It has they can put 6 50 cal weapons for self-protection. They are responsible for the C4I communication computer and information technology. And they're responsible for all aviation management and the hospital operation. Almost done here. So the innovation that will benefit both Federal Fleet Services and Canada, so new thing that we have not seen in Canadian Navy before. This is a fast-track, cost-efficient container ship conversion, as I explained to you, using established commercial ship management practices. We have a hybrid crew of civilian mariners and Canadian Armed Forces mission specialists, and the latest technology and internal systems to improve the quality of life on board. By the way, in each of the cabins, I mentioned to you, all the cabins, that there is 109 cabins total, and we have lounges as well. We broke them down into Royal Canadian Navy standard, one for the officers, chief and POs, and one for the master seamen and below, but they're all the same really. And the lounges and the cabins each have a TV, internet connection, and we're going to give them an iPad each. So they're going to all have that on board the ship. So this is quality of life. That's what we call quality of life on board. And you'll be able to order, you'll be giving a menu, for example, tomorrow, what's available, and you can select ahead of time. So when you go down there, they have it for you. We're going to do a superior outfitting of workspaces, cabins, and lounges. I already discussed that. Full medical and dental suites, and potential for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. So we have all kinds of stuff. HEDR, that's called. We have all kinds of spaces and triage and that good kind of stuff. In case we have I think the best one to explain is the one that we have all heard, and many of us participate in, is the Haiti earthquake. Trying to change slide here, but for some reason there you go. So there are pictures in the cabin hallway again. Each deck has its own color. So the red, I believe, is this third deck. I think eventually is that because they all look alike, I suppose you will know where you're at. And just so that you don't think we're all sitting engineers doing nothing, this is a pile of engineers working on the bridge of the MV Asterix, putting cable, and what you see in the boxes or covered is actually the bridge components that have been shipped there already from OSI in Vancouver to Finland to be installed and mounted, so that when she arrived in Levy in May 2017, that she'd be already hooked up. And that's it. So if you have any questions, I think I'm supposed to see that somewhere. Or let Haley take over now. Haley, you there?
Yes, I'm here. I had myself on mute. So I just popped up the questions slide here. If anyone does have anything that they want to send in and they didn't get a chance to ask, I will communicate and coordinate with Alan and get those back to you, get answers back to you later. I do have one here, Al. Do you have to follow IRB rules for Project Resolve?
If we had to follow IRB rules for Project Resolve.
Yes, that was the question.
Because it was a fast-track contract, see, that's a little bit of a tricky question. Technically, we do not have to. However, we are adamant that we will follow IRB rules. This is why we're working with OMX, and even for smaller items, my little team in here at FFS, when we go and get anything, I don't know, we're going to buy the blankets, for example, as well for the for all those people. Where we're going to buy the fork and knives, all these small items, all Canadians. We want Canadians. So Canadian suppliers, but respecting good business practices. If it's way too expensive for some reason, that's not necessarily what we will do. But like we have a case in here, I won't mention the equipment itself, but we had equipment. We were buying a lot of something, and one company, Canadian company, oh my God, man, you at home wouldn't pay for that much. We were buying a lot of it. So anyway, so we went somewhere else, another Canadian company. So we are following the intent, 100% of the IRB Canadian rules.
Great.
Does that answer your question, Haley?
Yes. And Ella, you mentioned the humanitarian aid and disaster relief capabilities. I remember one of the things that OMX did with Federal Fleet was we organized an industry day last year, and we brought in a lot of companies that met with Spencer Fraser and John, and you were there that day as well, I think, and I gave you guys all heard about all the capabilities that existed within Canada that could potentially participate in humanitarian disaster.
We're still executing a lot of what we've learned, and some companies have at the industry day gave us some pretty good advice on their systems and equipment and processes and everything else, and we keep them in mind. It was for HADR. So now I have been concentrated on the conversion of the ship, but more and more we have to start thinking about HADR activities for the future, and to have to make sure that we have the right stuff, the right equipment, the right process. Like something I mentioned, the TEUs, the 20-foot equivalent unit, the containers. We have 30 in our cells. We have room for 20 cargo and 18 ammunition, but also just after it, we have room for 12 more. So if you go to Haiti and you need power generation and you need water making capabilities, you need, I don't know, diapers, sand, we can carry all that, and also we can carry any equipment that some of the companies that came to the HEDR industry days and special communication system. When there's no power ashore, you need something special. We can do that as well. We can carry that on our deck. The deck was actually designed for extra stuff, like the 12 TEUs containers, or the LCVP, which is a very heavy small boat, and anything else that we need, the power generation, water makers, that kind of stuff.
Great, thanks, Al. And I have another question here. What has been the biggest obstacle during this project so far?
Only one? What's my biggest, I should say not mine. Our biggest obstacle, to get things started. Like the engineers from Rolls-Royce, for example, they thought they were only designing they were doing detail engineering, that was it. No, you're doing construction engineering. We're not going to any other engineers. And it took a while to put that in their brain, but once they have it, it got done very well. I think, for me anyway, another way to answer that question is, what was I most impressed about? Like I said, I spent all my time in the Navy, 42 years, so you can imagine my age. And but I have never built a ship. But by education, I am a marine system designer. But the quality of steel, the way the blocks are built in the yard, it's fascinating. I take many people on tours, and one time, for some reason, I ended up with a tour of 20 people, two of the group were specialist welders. So they were looking at things differently than the rest of us. And they went, oh my God, you guys do good welding. So that kind of stuff. So the quality of the steel work in the yard is second to none for what I can see. And I am told by people who are vast experience in worldwide shipbuilding, they said the same thing. They said the quality is absolutely fantastic. So the biggest challenge now would be to deliver the ship complete with all our certificates. And I have my project manager here. We start to do a Gantt chart, but the document of compliance is to me, is the end. Without the document of compliance, I cannot go to sea. So to get that document of compliance, what do I have to do? And then I have thousands of pages that goes to the left of it to make sure that we have everything that we need. We have to think of everything. Did we buy enough? I mentioned forks and pots and pans, but you have to do these things. Do we have enough medical supplies? By regulations, we have to have so many supplies. So all that kind of stuff. So I was a naval engineer in the Royal Canadian Navy, and I'm writing directions on medical supply, for example. So all challenging. We have a very good team, and we all work together, which help us alleviate or mitigate potential roadblock for the future. So I'm very confident that the ship will be delivered on time, and all provision of service will be available to the Canadian Armed Forces on time, but on budget. They don't really care. It's on their budget as ours.
And Al, I have one more here. Is Federal Fleet Services still looking for partners for contract support supplies?
Can you explain that question? I'm looking for partners for?
I'll read it again. And Desiree, if you want to, the asker is Desiree, if you want to maybe reword it for me, I can ask it again. But it's, is Federal Fleet Services still looking for partners for contract support? Oh, okay. She rewrote it. 1 second. Suppliers for in-service support. For partners for in-service support.
The short answer is no, meaning I have everybody lined up. But the long answer is, but yeah, by all means, we're always open to improve our system, and especially when we get out of ships. So when we get out of the ships, we might need it. There's one thing that we, especially if the contract supplier assistance is Canadian, not much better. But like a lot of stuff I have to do myself now. And a lot of stuff I go, of course, as you know, Haley, I go through OMX and we put an RFP on it, and we proceed from there. I don't know if I answered that question properly.
That's okay. I think it's, you did answer it actually. Okay, I'm just reading this one. Second. Okay, so I have But this will be the last question, I think, because we only have a couple minutes left. Considering the cost and time benefits of retrofitting an existing vessel, why are not more refits being done for similar requirements? I don't know if you can.
Excellent question.
Yeah.
Excellent question. Why don't we do that more often? I had to be careful here how I would answer that if I'd be allowed, because I'm a naval engineer and I served in the armed forces for a lot of time. You heard me say that many times so far. So I had to be careful not to become political on you. But we do have a naval shipbuilding strategy in Canada. So the Canadian government, elected by Canadians, have decided to go that route. Good, go that route. However, we have demonstrated that it can be done a lot of time. Don't replace what the programs are. That's why I had to be careful of my political answer. We don't want to replace what's going on now, but there are rooms where gaps must be filled. And should we do that? Yes. I think Canada has agreed that for the icebreaker, for example, they have to go with an interim solution. And that's what we were called at one time, the interim AOR. Some people still call us the interim AOR, and that's fine. But yes, why wasn't that done before? I don't know. Have we proven that it should be done? I believe so. But it is up to the federal government, or provincial governments for some of their to meet their requirements, like the Quebec government with their ferries, British Columbia with their ferries as well. So yes, there are room, and I would recommend, to save taxpayers' money, to go that route as much as possible.
Okay, and there's one person that squeezed in before the bell here. Will any small boats be required through you or the RCN for this vessel?
Small boats to be carried on board?
I believe
let's assume it is.
Yeah, let's assume it is and go with it from there, unless the person
Yes.
asked that wants to clarify.
Yeah, we have. The Royal Canadian Navy will need to buy 2 lifeboats. So we have provided the Davids for them. We have their design. We know what they want, which basically what they have in the frigates and what they will have on the AOP, the Arctic Offshore Patrol ships. And we, the Federal Fleet, is procuring 2 of them as well. And so besides the sole last requirement, so yes, we are building, we are getting small boats, and we're interested in some LCVP requirement, which is a bigger rib that can carry, I forget what the acronym stands for. I've been using the acronym for too long now. A landing craft patrol vessel. I hope that's what the question was, those type of boats.
Okay. Okay, well, I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for joining us today, Al. And you've been, I learned so much even just watching and listening to you today. I thought that I knew about Project Resolve, but it's good getting to know the inside of the ship and really all the details. So thank you very much.
You're quite welcome, and thank you to all of you who listened to that French accent for an hour.
Yeah, and thanks to Vanguard too. They did some cross promotion with OMX, and they worked on this with us, so it's great. Again, okay, guys, just the last thing. If anyone does have any additional questions, my email is up on the screen, and if there's anything you want me to forward on to Al, by all means, let me know. Once we're done here today, I will set up a follow-up email, and you'll all get a recording so you can share it with everybody that wasn't able to make it on today. So thanks so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll have another one of these for you in a couple weeks' time. So see you. Thanks,
okay.
Al.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.